gotta go to the source of existence. I want it for myself. No man can tell me, because what I did learn one time in myself, right? When I left college, I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? I learned nothing at fucking school. I went to school to play football
Right.
because that's what I was focused on. I didn't learn shit. I had what I gained with a lot of brothers, a lot of friends. I didn't learn shit. But what I did ask myself though, what I did learn is how to be a brother to people that aren't blood. I learned that.
That's real.
This was the University of Miami football team.
That's
And
real.
big up to the Kings.
Yeah.
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 But what I was gonna say was like, what was I gonna say again?
You said shout out to the Kings.
No, but you were talking about the mindset
you.
of being Rastafari and why you moved to Ethiopia and why it wasn't really a major decision for you. Like it was easier than what we would think it would be.
Yeah, because in my mind, when I think about life and existence, I always want to be connected to the truth, and I wanted to always like be real about it, right?
Right? Yeah.
I couldn't just say I'm that. And learning, being around my granny, my father's mother, because remember I told you I'm living in Miami, and that's all she preaching every day.
Yeah.
But I wanted to learn how to. I wanted to learn how to fly. Like when I left college, my idea was learn how to fly. This brethren that I had, used to tell me that, yo.
I love it. Don't get realer than this. I love it. I love it. Man.
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
I love it.
I wanted to learn how to fly. And this brethren told me that if I want to learn how to fly, I got to go to Haiti.
Okay.
And that was before my son was born. Then I ended up going to Haiti. And I ended up living in Haiti sometime because I was there when my son Nico was born. His sister Ida and their mother's from Haiti. So I ended up being in Haiti, the original empire. So getting into the whole spirituality, I wanted to learn how to fly. So I started to really, if I wanted to be Rastafari to the highest heights, I had to live a certain way. I didn't eat off the vine. I lived a Nazareth life. I wanted to be a Nazarene. And to be a Nazarene, I had to follow Nazarite ways. So I didn't want to just say I am. I wanted to be it. So I started to do that. So I read a book called The Signs of the Seals by Graham Hancock Graham or whatever. And he was able to trace the Ark of the Covenant. So when he traced the Ark of the Covenant from Jerusalem and the 400 years of journey, how the Ark of the Covenant traveled from Jerusalem and how through the 400 years, it went down Lake Tana and hid in the churches in Lake Tana where the monasteries are. I wanted to live that life. I wanted to visit that life. So in the year 2007, from what I know in existence, from my fathers taught us all these things about Haile Selassie, just connecting us to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, I aligned myself with the ancient empire of who we are as a people, right?
Yeah.
And the teaching. And when I did that, I knew that in the year 2007 in America, it was going to be the year 2000 in Ethiopia. And I wanted to be in Ethiopia when that happened. So I packed my bags. I told my family I'm moving to Ethiopia. When I moved to Ethiopia, while I'm there, this brethren says to me, "Hey, Rohan, what are you doing here?" I said, "What do you mean what I'm doing here?"
Mm-hmm.
He says, "No, you're Bob Marley's son. Do you sing?" I said, "No, I don't sing, but I have a coffee farm in Jamaica."
Okay.
When he told me that, he said, "Do you know that Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee? And when the Yemenites would go to Ethiopia and take the coffee back to Yemen, the Europeans would get the coffee from the Yemenites and say, oh, these are the beans from the Arabs. And they became Arabica beans. But the truthful name is Ethiopica bean. That it's the birthplace of the coffee, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So from that, it gave me my first signal. Previously, I visited Ethiopia 7 years prior. And the Batawe, he sent me to a monastery where I saw coffee trees. And, from that, it went back to Jamaica in the 2000 and started to go do the coffee movement. And, so fast forward to 7 years later, I go back to the monastery. While I walked up to the top of the monastery, I videoed all these things. So you got all the footage is there.
Right.
So just know it's all truth. When I walked to the top of the monastery this time, I saw the monks and the priests. They're drying the coffee on the coffee slab. So I said, "What?" I immediately said, "You know what? Take a picture of me." I extended my arm. Take a picture of me. I took that picture and I asked the monk. I said, "Let me ask you something. I thought the church didn't deal with coffee." He said, "You see the roof? We have a leak. You see this? We need that. You see the people that need clothes, they need this.
Yeah.
We have coffee. We trade coffee." I then said, "All right, if the church can do it, if the church can deal with coffee, I can do coffee." I go back to Addis Ababa. I hear that on the radio that the Ethiopian government has banned Starbucks from buying coffee. I'm like, what? I said, yes, because at the time they wanted to build their commodity system.
Yep.
And at the time, these different coffee buyers are buying coffee from Starbucks included, buying coffee from this guy at 10 burr, this guy 2 burr. So destabilizes the market. The government wanted to build a commodity system.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
But I say to myself, if the biggest coffee company in the world don't own a coffee farm, I own a coffee farm. So what am I doing? I picked up the phone. I called this guy that wanted to invest $100,000. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Do you know who my father is?" He said, "Yes, Bob Marley." And I say that, I said, "Do you know that my father is a universal man, right?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yes." Yeah. I say, "Do you know that I am also universal?" He said, "Rohan, what are you trying to say?" You see, if you didn't hit my hand right there, I'd have caught that. If you didn't put your damn hand in there, I'd show you my reflex. Cat-like.
I know, friend. This shit harder than motherfucker. Back hurt.
Don't put your chair on the back. Don't put your chair on the. Don't put your back on the chair. Sit your ass up.
My pocket's been compromised.
Control your
for
weight.
the last 2 hours.
Yeah,
I ain't never sat
that's
this straight.
lazy.
I ain't
You know
never
what
sat
you
this straight.
call that? Lazy. Not want to bear your own weight.
I'm working. I got 3 jobs. How many jobs you got?
Bear your own.
How many jobs you
Bear your own goddamn weight. Anyway,
My posture ain't never been this fucking good. Never. I went from 5'9" to about 5'10".
My shit on fire, nigga.
stop going around. Be careful. I told y'all, be careful with these children.
Now I like these.
Just keep your discipline up.
I like
the
it.
realest shit ever, bro.
So, but then I say to him, I said, "Hey man, you know that my father's a universal man, right?" He said, "Yeah, I know your father's universal." I said, "Do you know that I am also universal?" He's like, "Rohan, what the fuck are you trying to say?"
Right.
I said, "Do you know that coffee is universal?"
Right.
I said, "Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build a coffee company, not a Jamaican company." And I came back to America after living in Ethiopia for 7 months. And the clothing company that I started earlier, I took all the artwork from that clothing company and started to make a coffee bag. And that's how I launched Marley Coffee.
Fire.
And I took it from one store to 13,000 stores.
Yeah.
I love that story right there. So you took all the artwork from your clothing brand and
made a
decided
coffee bag.
to make a coffee bag.
Hey,
out
give me a
of it.
coffee bag right there. Give me a coffee bag up there. Let me show you something.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
It's a
Fire.
coffee bag.
Fire.
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 #1 coffee in Chile, Santiago.
Alright. Changing brands.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yo, good up.
I told
Let's
you.
get up on the record.
DJ.
You gotta turn on pipe and everything.
Stella never fuck with it.
Look up. Hold on. The record something.
so we shut down the clothing company.
Yeah.
We got Marley Coffee now. You're like, okay.
No,
we're gonna
well,
do
we
Marley
shut
Coffee.
it down. No, we will transition it.
Okay, transition.
Okay.
Into Zion Roots Wear.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we got Marley Coffee. This thing is starting to move now. What's your next step now?
Well, after the guys at Marley Coffee, they kind of flipped on me a little bit. They didn't believe in what I told them. They went against my family principles and they lost the opportunity to build a business with me.
Okay.
And they lost those rights because they did not do the right thing. So family took over. I kind of took a back seat and let the family develop the brand and brought in like CAA, who's managing the Marley IPs now, you know.
Okay.
So they are managing Marley Coffee. But I decided to launch a cannabis brand called Lion Order.
Okay. Here we go. Let's talk about that.
Right. And that brand now started, you know, way back when, you know, myself, Lion Order is a movement I created by when my guys that I played University of Miami football with, like the likes of Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp, a couple of the guys, also Ricky Williams, who's a good friend of mine, LeVar
Ricky
Arrington,
get hot in the mouth.
great friends of mine. I
Right.
used to always talk to them before their games and kind of encourage them how to dominate on the football field on Sundays.
Yeah.
And the thing that I used to say to them, you know, because I speak to them on like a Saturday evening or Saturday night, but I knew that by Sunday before the game, they would have spoken to like this many amount of people. And after that, I said, you know what? What I want you all to remember is one thing. Remember this Lion Order. So it became a mantra by me telling these guys how they need to become the lion on the football field
Right.
and how to dominate. And the mantra started by us speaking about Lion Order.
Right.
So years later, I turned that whole mantra into a story about life after Bob, which is my story. It's about this character named King Clementine, who is inspired by the ganja movement, the war on drugs, who's inspired about the Elder Rastaman, them, like the Coptic movement that was the first industrialization of the cannabis and how they utilize cannabis, which is our sacrament as Rastafari people, to help and develop communities and feed people as an industrialization as it regards to our sacrament. So I decided to now turn the vision into a business and making cannabis one of the items of the business. But within that whole line or the movement, we have accessories, as you see here, some of our rolling trays.
Right.
We're creating these little ashtrays and stuff. Certain things, you know, certain different items. You know, we have our own grinder that we're doing things with a company called Flour Mill. So just being able to create another thing out of inspiration again, but inspiration of necessities, things that are meaningful to our lives as Rastafari people,
Right.
and being able to utilize the things that we use on a daily basis as our which is our sacraments,
Right.
and also as like ways to feed our families as well help others.
Right.
So that is Lion Order.
Yeah, can I keep it? I want to
Yeah.
ask you a question,
Yeah,
bro, because we talk about the
Zion Chin.
You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah,
talk. You good,
my
bro?
next son, Zion. Zion, come here, man. So Zion was also on Rolling Loud.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
Zion, right here.
Listen,
Zion.
thank you, bro.
What you up to?
I'm about to go ahead to dinner real quick.
We're doing that.
I see us.
So, okay, all right.
Pleasure to meet you, Ken.
We're taking you.
Congratulations, man.
Great next time.
All right, cool. All right,
Be safe, bro.
Marcus, you can't go, yes, sir.
I'm on the get some.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it is. We're in the family house.